Welcome and welcome back to the channel, ladies and gentlemen. I'm your host, Tommy, just Tommy. And with today's video, the Wonder Woman game has reportedly already cost WB Games $100 million, and it's nowhere even close to being finished. So let's discuss and jump into it, shall we? Let's go.
I'm stronger. I'm smarter. I'm better. I am better.
All right, before we get into it, don't mind the window here. I live in the northeastern side of America, so up here, if you live in an older house, we kind of have to put plastic on our windows because it gets a bit, a little colder. But anyways, I digress. Let's jump into the topic at hand with today's video, and that is Wonder Woman game has reportedly already cost WB Games $100 million, and it's nowhere close to releasing. Several years after the first revealed Monolith's Wonder Woman game might be in trouble. A new report on Monolith's Wonder Woman video game has emerged, claiming that the project has undergone a reboot behind the scenes and has so far cost Warner Brothers over $100 million. It's claimed that the Wonder Woman game is still years away from being released. A video game based on Wonder Woman has struggled to coalesce, according to people familiar with the project. Bloomberg's Jason Schreier wrote, "Early last year, it was rebooted and switched directors. The game has already cost more than $100 million, said the people who asked not to be identified, discussing non-public information, and is still years away from release if it ever makes it to market." So this, before we go any further, this is very concerning whenever you have a game in development and not only do you not hear anything about it for a while, but then when you do hear something about it, it's negative press that you see. This here is not good. What you see here is not a good sign for this game, and I would not be surprised if this game gets canceled ultimately. But more importantly, I don't really know who asked for a Wonder Woman's game or who this game is actually going to be for, and that's not coming from any place that's, sexist or biased. Not saying that Wonder Woman doesn't carry the same weight as other superheroes, but with this being developed by Monolith, I don't doubt that it wouldn't be a pretty decent game. However, this is the problem I see that I'm starting to see with the games industry is the direction of where games are going, want to go, and or how they go about doing it is really what the issue is. I think this is a big issue with these big, huge budget games when it comes to the IP and the direction. When they're expensive and they're really expensive, like when games become very expensive like this, you need to have a guarantee for your team of developers. Like this is what the idea is. This is the direction, and we're not deviating from it regardless of what happens. I don't know behind the scenes what's really going on here. I don't know if this is full of DEI. I don't know if there's things like that's happening that's causing the reason for the switch of directors or the direction of the game. But when you have a game that's already $100 million or over $100 million in the hole, and there's no signs that it's going to be released anytime soon, that should be a huge concern here. Moving on a little bit further, Schreier also says that Monolith was originally interested in developing a new franchise after it released Middle-earth: Shadow of War in 2017, one that would incorporate procedural storytelling in its design. Warner Brothers executives reportedly weren't interested in this proposal, and 3 years later, the project was canceled. The executives suggested that Monolith should instead work on one of the company's franchises, and after the departure of studio head Kevin Stevens and several key creatives who would go on to form a new studio at EA to work on a Black Panther game, the rest of Monolith began development on the Wonder Woman game. So that kind of tells me everything that I really need to know about this game and whatnot. But at this point right here in this article, I would agree with the executives when they suggest Monolith should instead work on one of the company's franchises, meaning one that they already have established, like another Shadow game that has to deal with, Lord of the Rings, or there's plenty of IPs that they also have. So with that part, I do agree with. Let's move on a little bit further. Schreier's report says that an early version of the game attempted to reimagine the Nemesis system from the Mordor games, allowing Wonder Woman to befriend her enemies. This idea was eventually scrapped in favor of a more traditional action-adventure game, and the future of the project might be in jeopardy. Yeah, that kind of seems like that Nemesis system was kind of shoehorned into the game. Why would Wonder Woman ever befriend her enemies? I'm not too familiar with her in the comic books, but that kind of seems out of character in my opinion. But I could be wrong on that. It just kind of I don't like that idea either. I think the Nemesis system would work in much. I think the Nemesis system would work in different games, but not a Wonder Woman game. A more action adventure type game, I would agree with. Monolith's Wonder Woman game was first revealed at the Games Award in 2021, but since then, the studio has kept quiet on development, aside from confirmation that it will not be a live service title, which is awesome. Reports of a troubled development first began cropping up last year. This follows a trend at Warner Brother Games, as recent projects have failed to take off. Rocksteady's Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League was a $200 million flop for the company. Warner Brothers Montreal Gotham Knights saw lukewarm sales when it launched, and Multiverses will shut down in May. So this is a not very good trend for Warner Brothers at this moment with their video game division. And I honestly think that if Warner Brothers had Monolith, I think they should just kind of kibosh this whole Wonder Woman game. Maybe even put it on the back burner. Just don't fund it at this moment. Stop pouring money into it, in development to it, because it doesn't seem like the people that are there really want to do this. But I think they should maybe shift gears and put Monolith on an IP for, let's say, the Mortal Kombat franchise. I know one game in the Mortal Kombat franchise that a majority of people love, and we haven't got one since, was the Shaolin Monks game back on the PS2 and the original Xbox, I believe it was. I think Monolith maybe work on a game like that and see what they can come up with, and, introduce the Nemesis system in that, where you're befriending other characters in that universe. I think that would actually be a really cool and different approach to the Mortal Kombat, IP. As of right now, I know MK1 was pretty successful. But yeah, when you have games like Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League being a huge flop, I know they recently just stopped support for the game, so there's not going to be any more updates with it after season 5, I think it is, or something like that. And then we just got the news that Multiverses is going to be shut down in May. That development was kind of handled poorly as well, where they came out and then they went away. There was no marketing saying hey, this is just open beta, or this is, early access. This is there wasn't anything like that. I didn't know anything like that happened, and then it just kind of went away. And I didn't really dig too much deeper into it, but then it came back and it was kind of, everyone was over it at that point in time. And now we have news that they're shutting down in May, it's not a really good look for them. And, I think they could be pouring their budget into other IPs that they have, like the Hogwarts Legacy is a massive success for them. And I know there's a number 2 that's supposed to be coming out, but I mean, if you're pouring $100 million into a game that isn't even close to being done, and we don't know when it's going to be done, pour that into the development of a Harry Potter MMO game. That could be a live service type game that's going to continually bring you revenue in. That'll help fund other projects as long as it's done correctly. You know what I mean? I think Gotham Knights did okay, even though it was like they said it was lukewarm. I think Gotham Knights was pretty well done. Back 4 Blood, not really that good at all. Always love the Shadow games. I mean, ultimately, it might come down to where this company ends up, in the hole so much where they end up becoming available to buy, because, I mean, they're only worth $4 billion. So that's nothing for Microsoft to come in and scoop up, just like, Ubisoft. But anyways, that's kind of my thoughts on this whole situation. It's not a wonder to me that this game is in development hell and there's no signs of it ever releasing. So I don't know. Like I said, I think they should kibosh the whole thing, put their efforts and budget towards a completely different new game with the IPs that they currently have instead of this. Especially Monolith, you know, they seem like they're a pretty good development company. And of course, I'm comparing their body of work to their Shadow games, which were awesome. So, you know, it is what it is. You guys let me know what you think down below. If you have any thoughts on this, I'd love to hear it. Make sure you hit me with that like and that subscribe. Also, follow the other social medias. There's a link in the description. You can find my music there and other social media platforms that I am on. But as always, it has been your boy. It's been real, and I am out. Later.